For a long time now, Bloomberg has held something close to a monopoly in financial services. Yes, the terminal looks outdated, it is incredibly expensive, and people have been complaining about it for years. But let's be honest, there was never really a true competitor. Sure, platforms like Refinitiv Icon, Capital IQ, and FactSet took over parts of the market. They've become the more budget-friendly alternatives for firms and individuals that don't want to pay Bloomberg prices. But none of them have come close to actually knocking Bloomberg off the throne. And the reason is simple. It just works. Bloomberg is not just a screen with charts and green text. It is a reliable source of news, data, pricing, messaging, connectivity, and execution. It has become deeply embedded into how finance operates on a day-to-day basis. But recently that dominance started getting questioned again. With the rise of AI tools and so-called vibe coding, it has suddenly become much easier for people to build software without really knowing how to code. Tools like Claude Code and similar systems are letting people create functional apps just by describing what they want in enough detail. And that has sparked a bigger question for a lot of software-as-a-service companies. If anyone can now build a decent-looking product in a weekend, what happens to them? That question hit Bloomberg too. Someone on X recently vibe-coded a Bloomberg-like interface, and a lot of people got excited, especially those who never had access to the real thing. For a moment, it felt like maybe this was the start of something bigger. Maybe people could finally get a Bloomberg-style experience at almost no cost. And to be fair, AI-built apps will absolutely make a difference. They will improve workflows, they will make certain tools cheaper, and they will help smaller market participants build things that would have been impossible just a few years ago. But Bloomberg is not going away anytime soon, because Bloomberg is not just a flashy interface that someone can recreate in 5 minutes. Its real power lies somewhere else. First of all, Bloomberg owns one of the most valuable commodities in the modern world, data. And not just a little bit of it, an enormous amount. If you have ever tried doing backtesting, quantitative research, or even basic financial analysis, you have probably run into the same wall very quickly. Data is hard to get, and good data is expensive. There is no easy or free way to access large amounts of high-quality financial data. You can maybe get delayed top-of-book quotes for free, maybe some basic fundamentals. But the moment your work requires anything more sophisticated, the price goes up fast. And Bloomberg sits right in the middle of that. Just think about how valuable it is to have historical tick-by-tick data across stocks, indices, futures, options, bonds, currencies, and who knows what else. Think about how difficult it would be to source, clean, organize, and maintain all of that yourself. Bloomberg already has it. And even more importantly, they have spent years building on top of that raw data. They do not just give you numbers. They give you structured tools, calculations, analytics, monitors, relative value screens, charting systems, and functions that save users from having to build everything from scratch. That is a much bigger moat than people realize. Anyone can copy the look of a terminal. Very few can replicate the depth of the data behind it. And then there is the second major piece, access. Buying a stock is easy. Buying a listed future is easy. These instruments trade on public exchanges. They are standardized, visible, and broadly accessible. But what happens when you want to trade something less standardized? A bond, a swap, an OTC derivative. Where do you go then? This is where Bloomberg becomes much more than an information platform. It is one of the most important financial networks in the world. Bloomberg provides the infrastructure that connects counterparties across over-the-counter markets. Dealers, brokers, buy-side firms, and institutional participants use it not just to look at prices, but to communicate, request quotes, negotiate, execute, and manage trades. That network effect is incredibly powerful, because even if someone built a technically better alternative tomorrow, that alone would not be enough. You would still need to convince the entire ecosystem to move. You would need traders, dealers, brokers, fund managers, and institutions to leave behind a system they already rely on every single day. A system where their data is, their workflows are, their contacts are, and their execution channels already exist. That is not a simple software switch. That is a behavioral and institutional shift across the entire industry. And those types of systems do not get replaced overnight. So, is this the end for the Bloomberg Terminal? Probably not. Could AI make parts of the Bloomberg experience cheaper and more accessible? Absolutely. Could smaller firms and independent traders build tools that capture some of the value Bloomberg used to monopolize? Definitely. But replacing Bloomberg is not about recreating the screen. It is about replicating decades of data accumulation, analytics infrastructure, workflow integration, and most importantly, market-wide network effects. That is a very different challenge. So no, a vibe-coded clone is not the end of Bloomberg.